Am I the asshole inviting my parents to my house after they didn't respond to my fiance's medical emergency?
My fiancée, Allie, 31 female, is the type of person that calls people 2 or 3 times in a row when she wants to get a hold of them for anything. The first time she did this to my parents, we were driving to a concert and I asked her to call my folks from my phone.
She called, they didn't pick up. She started calling my mom again right away and I asked what she was doing. My mom picked up right away, worried.
Allie asked our question, I told mom false alarm, hung up.
She asked why my mom had been irritated and I explained to her and my family, we only call twice in a row if it's an emergency.
Allie has never followed this and will always call them repeatedly for the most mundane stuff.
If one doesn't answer, she'll sometimes call my other parent. All that to say, a couple of weeks ago she broke her leg while working around the house. I was in a workshop for work that day and could only check my phone on breaks. She called my parents since they live a couple streets over, but neither answered their phones. She wound up having to call an ambulance. I got her message about 2 hours after she fell and went to the hospital. She was pretty mad at my parents when I got there. I let them know what happened and they also rushed to the hospital to apologize and check on her. She didn't want them coming in, so they sat outside for a bit, got her flowers from the gift shop and eventually went home. I took some time off work to take care of her and my parents have been offering help as they could. Her sister drove in to help so I could go back to work. Last night I decided to make a nicer dinner than usual and wanted to invite my parents. I gave her a heads up I was inviting them and asked if she wanted me to rearrange some of the chairs and table so we can all eat together. She got mad I wanted to invite them and is of the mind I shouldn't be wanting to speak with them after they ignored her. Her sister agrees with her and feels I'm putting my parents over my soon-to-be wife. Up until this point I haven't said anything to her about the situation, but I did then and told her it was a massive fuck-up in communication on everyone's part and time we all talk it out to put behind us. Neither she nor her sister think she should stop being mad at them. Was I an asshole to invite my parents over? Asked Info. My parents were sitting outside for their quiet time when she called. It's not unusual for them to not answer calls, texts and wait to return them later when they do that. I myself had to do the 2 calls routine so they knew it was urgent. Info. How many calls did Allie make to your parents before calling the ambulance? More than the usual multiple calls? Did she at any point text them to say it was truly an emergency? Edited to add judgment, not the asshole. Allie made the usual number of calls that she does for any occasion and didn't text to let them know this was actually an emergency. Op certainly does not need to cut his parents off over this. Not the asshole. You explained the communication norms in your family after the first time she double-called. She didn't listen, and so your parents had no way to know it was an emergency instead of just another Tuesday. Your description of a massive miscommunication sounds accurate, and talking it through would be the next right move. Does she have an explanation for how they should have known? Or is she assuming that when she wants to get a hold of someone they should drop everything and talk to her whether or not it's urgent? Because the latter isn't respecting other people's time and priorities. Everyone is focusing on the double calls, but, even if that wasn't an issue, it's just as possible that the parents missed the urgent call. They could have been napping, watching a show, yard work, etc., etc. I see no part of this story that shows the parents willingly, knowingly, nor maliciously treating your fiancé. To punish them over it is deeply into left field and not fair to anyone else in this situation. Most likely, your fiancé felt scared, and it ramped up higher when she couldn't reach anyone to help. I would not focus on the double call situation, but on her being hurt and unable to reach anyone in an emergency. Arguing over phone habits isn't going to resolve any of this, and from her view feel like she is getting blamed for feeling alone and scared. Info. Is there any reason she couldn't text rather than ring? A lot more informative than just another missed call. Not the asshole. I explained to her and my family, we only call twice in a row if it's an emergency. Allie has never followed this and will always call them repeatedly for the most mundane stuff. If one doesn't answer, she'll sometimes call my other parent. Has she never heard the story of the boy who cried wolf? She intentionally chose a pattern of behavior that ensured they would not assume she was calling for emergency assistance. Now she is angry that they behaved as they did because of her past behavior. It is regrettable, but it is her fault. She needs to accept responsibility for her own choices. Not the asshole. Your wife is the
She has been disrespectful of your parents' time for years, refused to change when asked, and then has the nerve to be pissed when the situation she created blew up in her face. Now she is trying to alienate you from your family? What the fuck? She sounds like a drama queen who thinks the world should stop and respond to her, on her timetable, time for her to grow up.
Am I the asshole for not giving up part of my outfit so my friend wouldn't be kicked out of the restaurant? Okay, so 2 friends of mine are visiting the country I live in this week, separately. We are all in our early to mid-30s. I am a practicing Muslimah, so I obey the conditions of hijab. This is something all my friends know.
Bella is a school teacher and here since it's her half-term break in the UK. She's come with some friends of hers and is definitely here for more of a party holiday. Sophia's husband has business interests here and she came with him to help with those and also catch up with friends, like me, that live in this country.
Since there was an overlap, we decided to get together and go out for a meal.
Sophia made a reservation at a Michelin-starred place for dinner. Bella agreed to come but said she was going to go to a club with her friends in the later night.
Now I figured she would go back to her hotel and get ready for clubbing with her other friends.
Instead, she turned up at the restaurant in a very tight and low-cut short dress. It was very much against dress code and the maitre d' did mention it. Sophia spoke to him and he ended up just giving Bella a shawl to cover her shoulders and chest before seating us. But she was still clearly not in dress code.
I guess someone else complained about it because the waitstaff came back and asked if Bella was able to change or she'd be asked to leave. I was wearing an abaya over a dress with tight half sleeves. She turns to me and asks me to give her my abaya so she can wear it over her outfit. I said no way because then my arms would be uncovered and that's inappropriate for me. She kept insisting even when I was refusing, and Sophia told her she was being insensitive and that she had been aware of the dress code before she came. The whole time the staff are standing there and people are looking at and whispering about us. In the end, Sophia took her jacket and gave it to Bella and then she put the shawl across her legs. Soon as the meal was done, she rushed off and hasn't spoken to us aside from one message in the GC calling us dicks. I don't think I was the asshole, but I've never seen Bella act like this before, so I'm confused. Not the asshole, and Bella probably shouldn't be traveling internationally without researching and understanding cultural norms where she is visiting. Not the asshole. I'm confused about the fact that someone had a jacket the whole time, yet she jumped straight to asking for the abaya instead. She doesn't sound like she has a lot of sense. Not the asshole. Her failure to plan doesn't mean that you have to step way beyond your comfort and beliefs. This is on her for wearing club clothes to a fancy restaurant. But asking someone to give up what they wear for religious purposes, modesty in public, wasn't the way to handle this. If it was just on your part, if I give up my shawl I will be a little cold, or, my outfit won't match, then yes. But in this case, cultural, religious reason, then no, not the asshole. Your friend should have worn something more appropriate in the country. Not the asshole. You shouldn't have to disrobe just because your friend dressed to go clubbing when meeting you at a fancy establishment. Sophia hit the nail on the head here. Sophia told her she was being insensitive and that she had been aware of the dress code before she came. Not the asshole. Bella is the asshole as an adult. She can look up the restaurant's dress code and either wear an outfit that meets it or, if she doesn't have anything that works on the trip, can talk to one or both of you before going to the restaurant to figure out a solution. I would actually argue the restaurant are also Oz for seating you first and then changing their mind when nothing changed on your end. But they are not part of your conflict. Am I the asshole for refusing to make my wife dinner since she will not make me breakfast? Edit: I have the kids more than her. She has them for an hour in the morning and I have them for 2-3 every night. Also everyone saying, don't know the stress of the morning shift. I have literally done it for 2 years. She is the one that wanted the morning shift because of her schedule. For everyone saying, have you asked what is wrong? Yes, she doesn't give an answer. I need an autist opinion to this. My wife and I have 2 kids that are both in daycare. My wife will take the morning shift, which includes getting the kids up, getting breakfast, and to the daycare. I handle the night shift, which is getting the kids from daycare, doing dinner and starting to get them ready for bed. Usually she gets home around 6:37 and the whole family has like 30 minutes together before the kids' bedtime.
Sally spend reading to them.
She has to travel an hour plus, depends on traffic, to work each way. So the kids are getting at daycare at 8 in the morning and I will pick them up around 4. I work from home and start around 7 and end around 3:30.
The issue is around breakfast. We agreed that I would make dinner each night and she does breakfast.
She already makes food for the kids, so it's literally just making an extra one of what she is already making. For the past month she will either not make it at all for me, not tell me that it is done. I have asked her to just give a general time, but she keeps switching up the schedule.
One day they are eating at 7 in the morning and then getting dressed. Other days she is giving them toast before getting into the car.
I have talked to her multiple times and explained that it is not considerate. We got into an argument and she told me I am home so just make my own food.
I explained I may be home but I am doing my job.
Yesterday she didn't make anything and I had enough. She came home and I didn't make her anything for dinner. When asked, I told her she is home and can make her own food. This started a huge argument and she called me a jerk. I think a different arrangement needs to be made. Because if she has to get all the kids ready for daycare, cook them food, make it on time to the daycare and get to work on time. I am sorry, but make your own breakfast, dude. She has a large commute, and I am sure a busy day at work.
Everyone is busy, I know.
But that is part of life with kids. She would have more time perhaps to get you breakfast if you helped wrangle the kids. I do not think it is unreasonable for you to help more with breakfast if you do not leave the house. Your comment to her was childish.
Your wife is doing a lot just by the sound of this post.
Maybe ask her how you can help instead of becoming an extra child. You are the asshole. Mornings are by nature more chaotic and less regimented.
Expecting your breakfast to be served to you on a schedule is bizarre. Grab a banana when you wake up before you work. Punishing her by not making dinner is also bizarre behavior.
So she is in the road for 2 hours a day, and you work from home, and you are being petty because nobody poured your cereal for you? You are the asshole big time. You are the asshole. Holy crap, this tit for tat stuff is not a relationship. Also yes, she's on a totally different time crunch in the morning, and traveling a long way to and from work. Long commutes are draining. You literally work from home.
Yes, you are working and that's valid work. But don't pretend you can't take a moment to grab yourself breakfast, or food any time in the morning really.
I don't know a single WFH person who has zero time to even eat something.
That's absurd. Her days are extra long, don't become an extra child she has to care for.
Info. You said she wanted the morning shift because of her schedule, but it doesn't sound like that's an optional thing. She arrives home long after the kids. Making dinner for the family isn't really an option there.
Why are you acting like this was a choice and not her only option?
I mean, I have literally done it for 2 years. And now they're bigger and more of a handful in the morning, so that argument doesn't really hold. And wanting an exact time for breakfast, really?
FFs, I'd be annoyed as well.
So many things can go wrong in the morning.
If she says it's at 7, and it's not done, how are you going to act?
One or both kids only need 5 seconds to ruin morning prep and nail it, so she has to redo everything. Just get yourself some cereal. Update. Am I the asshole for threatening to kick out my niece after she hacked my daughter's Roblox account? Original post.
Thank you all for your advice. My sister and niece moved out last week. She's in the process of getting an apartment and they're temporarily staying with a friend of my sister's for the time being. I warned her that if I contacted the developers, they would get her daughter banned, so either way my niece wasn't keeping the stuff she stole, so she should try minimize her losses. She claimed I had no proof her daughter hacked the account and refused to compromise. She said I was petty and childish for making them homeless over a kid's video game. And don't get me wrong, I feel bad, I really do. My sister and I never really got along as kids, so I was hoping at least our kids could have a good relationship with each other. But still, they were inevitably going to leave at some point, so I suppose I only sped up the process. Now that my niece is gone, my daughter seems a lot happier now. She told me she was perfectly fine, but I knew her well enough to know that she wasn't. Some very kind and generous people here have offered to gift her some of their items to rebuild her account, to which I am extremely grateful, but my daughter said she felt bad about taking stuff from other people. I'd already reported my niece's account, which seemed to have no effect.
I'm not very tech savvy, but I considered contacting the Roblox developers to see if they could reverse the transaction.
However, my daughter informed that doing so would only ban the account, losing all of my daughter's items in the process.
I would like to extend all my thanks to the commenter that suggested I try and log into my niece's account. Believe it or not, it only took 5 attempts.
Turns out that 10-year-olds don't have the best comprehension of internet security.
Surprisingly, getting into the account was the easy part. I spent an embarrassingly long amount of time looking up how to trade everything back. I swear I'm getting old. I couldn't tell which items were my daughter's and which were actually my niece's, so I simply transferred everything my niece had just to be safe. When she came home from school today, I told my daughter I had a fun surprise for her waiting on Roblox. Words can't describe how proud of myself I felt when I saw the joy rush back into her face. The ironic part is that my niece had previously won this very rare Halo item from this sort of lottery system, which my daughter claims is one of the most expensive items in that game. Now it was transferred to my daughter's account, meaning that my daughter walked out of this situation richer than she was to start with.
My sister just messaged me in all caps yelling at me that my niece has been through so much and I was just kicking her when she was down.
She accused me of stealing from a little girl. I simply told her that, in her own words, it's just a bunch of pixels on a screen.
Thank you to everyone for your support.
Not the asshole.
But your daughter needs better security on her accounts.
I simply told her that, in her own words, it's just a bunch of pixels on a screen. Perfect response. Congrats on righting the wrong.
What a hypocrite your sister is.
It's only theft when it's from her daughter, not by her daughter.
Your sister really chose moving out over making her daughter give the items back? That's unbelievable. Make sure your daughter changes her password to a random jumble of letters to prevent her cousin from doing it again. Good for you too, get it back. But give back the things that did not belong to your daughter.
2 wrongs does not make it right. Look, I am happy for you and your daughter that everything got settled. But you will really let keep that rare item that wasn't her? Isn't that exactly what your niece did to your daughter?
What's the lesson here? That it's okay to steal items from people if they wrong you before?